Dog waits by missing child's grave. The outcome will leave you in awe. How will this story unfold? To find out, watch the video to the end. But first, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to get more stories like this. Max trotted alongside Lily as they walked down the quiet dirt path toward the river, his wagging tail a testament to his joy. He was an average-looking dog, brown and white fur with floppy ears. But to Lily, he was the best friend anyone could ever ask for. Lily, a bright-eyed 6-year-old with a knack for finding adventure in the smallest things, held a stick in one hand, ready to toss it for Max at any moment. Their bond was inseparable, the kind only a child and a loyal dog could share. The small town they lived in was nestled between rolling hills and vast fields, where everyone knew each other. Lily's laughter echoed through the streets, a sound familiar and cherished by the townsfolk. It was common to see her and Max together, running through the meadows or playing near the schoolyard. Max had been with the family since Lily was a toddler, and he had grown just as protective of her as her parents were. "Go get it, Max," Lily called, tossing the stick high into the air. Max sprinted after it with the kind of energy only a dog could muster, his paws kicking up dirt as he raced across the field. He grabbed the stick in his jaws and turned back, his eyes shining with pride as he dropped it at Lily's feet. She knelt to pet him, her small hands ruffling his fur. "You're the best boy, Mac." The day Lily disappeared began like any other. She and Max had been playing in the yard while her mother tended to the garden. The afternoon sun cast long shadows over the house as the two of them darted around, Lily's giggles filling the air. But when her mother called her in for dinner, there was no response. The yard was eerily quiet, the only sound the rustling of leaves in the breeze. "Lily," her mother called again, stepping out onto the porch. Max was there, sitting at the edge of the yard, his head cocked to the side as if waiting for something. But Lily was nowhere to be seen. Panic set in quickly. The neighbors joined the search, their voices calling Lily's name as they combed the fields and woods around the house. Max, usually full of energy, seemed unusually subdued, his nose to the ground as he sniffed tirelessly for any sign of her. The hours stretched into the night, and by the time the police were called, fear had gripped the entire community. Days turned into weeks, and the hope of finding Lily began to wane. The town was blanketed in sorrow, her disappearance a wound that refused to heal. Then, one fateful afternoon, a discovery was made. A small grave near the edge of the woods, marked with flowers and a teddy bear. The authorities confirmed the worst. Lily had passed. Her parents were inconsolable, the vibrant light of their lives extinguished too soon. But Max didn't seem to accept this reality. The moment he was brought to the site of the grave, he sat down beside it, refusing to move. It was as though he was waiting for Lily to return. His brown eyes filled with a sadness no one could bear to look at for long. The townsfolk tried to coax him away, offering treats and gentle words, but Max wouldn't budge. Day after day, he stayed there, braving the elements as though he had a purpose no one else could understand. Max's vigil at Lily's grave became a spectacle that drew the attention of the entire town. People would come by, leaving flowers, candles, and mementos at the site in honor of the young girl and her loyal dog. It was as if Max had taken on the role of guardian, ensuring that Lily was never truly alone, even in death. Rain or shine, Max remained there. When it poured, his fur matted against his lean body as he braved the downpour. On freezing nights, frost coated the ground, yet Max curled up beside the grave, a silent testament to his devotion. His brown eyes seemed to grow duller with each passing day, but his determination never wavered. The people who passed by couldn't help but feel their hearts ache at the sight. Lily's parents visited regularly, their grief evident in the way they lingered by the grave, speaking softly as if their daughter could still hear them. They would kneel down to stroke Max's fur, their own tears falling silently. "Come home with us, Max," her mother pleaded one day, her voice cracking. "It's not healthy for you to stay here," but Max wouldn't go. Each time they tried to take him back to the house, he would escape and return to the grave, pacing around it or sitting stoically as though awaiting something no one else could sense. It was as if he believed Lily might still come back. It was about 2 weeks after Max began his vigil that his behavior started to change. At first, it was subtle. He would sniff the ground near the grave with an intensity that seemed unusual, then paw at the dirt gently. He'd let out low whimpers at night, his mournful cries carrying through the silence of the cemetery. By the 3rd week, Max's actions grew more pronounced. He began digging near the base of the grave, not with frantic energy but with purpose, as if he were trying to uncover something. Visitors noticed his actions and whispered among themselves, unsure of what to make of it. Was it grief manifesting in strange ways, or was there something else driving him? One evening, a neighbor named Mr. Harris stopped by to leave flowers. He watched as Max stood beside the grave, his ears perked up and his body tense. Max barked once, short and sharp, then began pawing at the ground again. "What is it, boy?" Mr. Harris murmured, crouching down. "What are you trying to tell us?" Max barked again, his tail wagging slightly, though his eyes were focused intently on the earth. Mr. Harris, unsettled but curious, decided to alert Lily's parents about the behavior. "I'm not sure if it means anything," he told them later that evening, "but Max seems convinced there's something there." The next morning, Lily's father arrived at the grave with a small spade. He watched Max as the dog sniffed and barked at a specific spot near the headstone. "All right, boy," he said softly, kneeling down. "Let's see what you're trying to tell us." He began digging, his movements careful and deliberate. The other members of the family stood nearby, their expressions a mix of confusion and hope, though they weren't sure what they were hoping for. Max sat nearby, his gaze never leaving the spot where Lily's father worked. After a few minutes of digging, the spade struck something hard. Lily's father froze, his breath catching in his throat. "What is that?" Lily's mother whispered, stepping closer. He brushed away the dirt carefully, revealing a small, rusted tin box. Everyone stared at it in silence, the air thick with tension. "It's just an old box," her father said, though his voice was unsteady. "Why would this be here?" He opened the box slowly, his hands trembling. Inside was a crumpled piece of paper, discolored with age but still legible. He unfolded it, and as his eyes scanned the handwritten note, his face went pale. "Lily didn't just wander off," he said, his voice shaking. "She left us a message." The note was short but haunting. "I heard a man calling me. He said he had a surprise for me. I'm scared. Please find me." Lily's mother gasped, clutching her chest as tears streamed down her face. "What does this mean? Was she taken?" Her voice was barely above a whisper, the weight of the revelation almost too much to bear. The family contacted the police immediately, handing over the note as evidence. Max barked excitedly, pacing back and forth as though urging them to move quickly. It was as if he knew they were finally on the right track. The investigation was reopened, and authorities began combing through old evidence with fresh eyes. They questioned neighbors and reviewed reports from the weeks following Lily's disappearance. The note, combined with Max's behavior, led them to suspect foul play. It wasn't long before a lead emerged. A suspicious man who had been seen near the woods around the time Lily vanished. Max became a key figure in the investigation. The police brought him along as they searched the area, hoping his instincts might guide them to new evidence. He led them deeper into the woods, barking at specific spots and digging frantically. With each clue uncovered, the puzzle began to piece itself together. The moment Lily was carried out of the woods, the air seemed to shift. The once oppressive tension lifted, replaced by a wave of relief so profound it brought everyone present to tears. Lily, though frail and trembling, clung tightly to the lead investigator who carried her. Her small voice whispered the same words over and over. "Max saved me." When Lily's parents saw her, they rushed forward, their arms wrapping around her in a fierce embrace. Her mother sobbed uncontrollably, stroking Lily's hair as if she couldn't believe she was real. "You're safe now, my sweet girl," she whispered through her tears. "You're safe." Max, sitting a few feet away, barked excitedly, his tail wagging so hard it thumped against the ground. Lily reached out for him, her tiny arms wrapping around his neck as he nuzzled her affectionately. "Max," she murmured, burying her face in his fur. "You didn't leave me." The sight of Lily and Max together was enough to bring even the most stoic onlookers to tears. The bond between them was undeniable, and it was clear that Max's unwavering loyalty had been the key to her rescue. As the paramedics checked Lily for injuries, the lead investigator approached her parents. His face was a mixture of relief and determination. "We're going to need a statement from Lily once she's ready," he said gently. "But for now, it's clear that she was taken by someone and kept in that cabin. The evidence we found there will help us track them down." Lily's father nodded, his jaw tight as he held his daughter close. "Whoever did this," he began, his voice shaking with emotion, "they'll pay for what they've done." The investigators assured him that they would do everything in their power to bring the perpetrator to justice. But for now, the focus was on Lily's recovery. The family was taken to the hospital, where doctors examined her and confirmed that she was malnourished and dehydrated but otherwise unharmed. Throughout the ordeal, Max stayed by Lily's side, refusing to leave her even for a moment. The hospital staff allowed him to remain in her room, touched by the dog's devotion. Lily would often reach out to him, her small hand resting on his fur as if drawing strength from his presence. It wasn't long before the news of Lily's rescue spread throughout the town. People gathered outside the hospital, holding signs that read, "Welcome home, Lily," and "Max the hero." The story of how Max had led the investigators to the cabin captivated everyone, and he quickly became a local legend. The media picked up the story, and soon news outlets from across the country were reporting on the incredible bond between Lily and her dog. Interviews with the family and the investigators highlighted Max's pivotal role in the rescue, painting him as the true hero of the story. "Max never gave up," Lily's father told reporters. "He stayed by her grave, led us to the clues, and ultimately brought our little girl home. We owe everything to him." As the days passed, Lily began to open up about her experience. She spoke in soft, halting sentences, her words revealing the horror of what she had endured. She described how a man had approached her while she was playing in the yard, luring her away with promises of a surprise. He had taken her deep into the woods, where he kept her in the hidden cabin. "He told me no one was looking for me," Lily said, her voice trembling, "but I knew Max would. I knew he'd find me." Her words brought tears to her parents' eyes. Max, sitting at her feet, looked up at her with those soulful brown eyes, as if understanding every word. "You're the bravest girl I've ever known," her mother said, pulling her into a tight hug. "And Max is the bravest dog." Meanwhile, the investigators continued their search for the man who had taken Lily. The evidence found in the cabin provided crucial leads, and it wasn't long before they identified a suspect, a drifter who had been spotted in the area around the time of Lily's disappearance. With the help of tips from the public and surveillance footage, the police tracked him down and took him into custody. The arrest brought a sense of closure to the community, but for Lily's family, the focus remained on healing. They were determined to move forward, grateful beyond words for Max's role in bringing Lily back to them. One sunny afternoon, a special ceremony was held in the town square to honor Max. People gathered from near and far, their faces filled with admiration for the dog who had become a symbol of hope and loyalty. The mayor stood at the podium, holding a medal engraved with the words, "For exceptional bravery. Today, we celebrate a true hero," the mayor said, his voice carrying across the crowd. "Max showed us the meaning of unwavering loyalty and courage. Without him, Lily might not be with us today." The crowd erupted into cheers as the medal was placed around Max's neck. Lily, standing beside him, beamed with pride as she held his leash. "Max is my best friend," she declared, her voice clear and confident. "And he's the best dog in the whole world." That evening, as the family returned home, Lily and Max curled up together on the couch, just as they had before her disappearance. The house, once filled with sorrow, was now a place of warmth and love. Lily's parents watched them from the doorway, their hearts full as they saw their daughter finally at peace. "You know," her father said, his voice soft, I think Max was sent to us for a reason. He's more than just a dog. He's family." Her mother nodded, wiping away a tear. "He's our miracle." As the sun set and the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Max rested his head on Lily's lap, his eyes closing in contentment. He had fulfilled his purpose, and though he couldn't understand the words of gratitude spoken around him, he felt the love that surrounded him. For Lily and her family, Max wasn't just a dog. He was a guardian, a hero, and a reminder of the unbreakable bond between humans and animals. In the days that followed the ceremony, Max's story continued to inspire people far beyond the small town. Messages poured in from across the country, with people expressing their admiration for the dog who had never given up. Gifts arrived at the family's doorstep: dog treats, toys, and even letters addressed to Max. Children wrote cards with pictures of him, calling him Super Max and the bravest dog. Lily's parents were overwhelmed by the outpouring of support. "It's incredible how Max has touched so many lives," her mother said one morning as she sorted through the latest batch of letters. "He's not just our hero anymore. He belongs to everyone." Max, of course, remained oblivious to his newfound fame. For him, life had returned to what it once was, spending every waking moment by Lily's side. Wherever she went, Max followed, his protective instincts never wavering. The trauma of her disappearance had left its mark, but with Max by her side, Lily felt safe. One afternoon, as Lily and Max played in the yard, a visitor arrived. It was Mr. Harris, the neighbor who had first noticed Max's strange behavior at the grave. He held a small package in his hands, a warm smile on his face. "I thought you might like this," he said, handing it to Lily's mother. Inside the package was a framed photo of Max sitting by Lily's grave, his eyes filled with the quiet determination that had driven him to uncover the truth. Beneath the photo was an inscription: "To Max, the dog who taught us all the meaning of loyalty." Lily's mother held the frame tightly, tears welling in her eyes. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "This means so much to us." Mr. Harris nodded, his gaze shifting to Max, who was busy chasing a butterfly with Lily. "He's a remarkable dog," he said, "and he's taught us all something important. Sometimes animals understand things we can't." As the weeks turned into months, life slowly returned to normal for Lily and her family. The once dark cloud that hung over their home had lifted, replaced by a sense of gratitude and hope. Lily began attending school again, her confidence growing with each passing day. Her classmates treated her like a hero in her own right, asking endless questions about Max and the adventure they had shared. "Did you know Max was going to find you?" one boy asked during recess. "I always knew," Lily replied with a smile. "Max never gives up." Her teacher, moved by Lily's story, decided to incorporate it into the curriculum. She read the class a story about loyalty and courage, drawing parallels to Max's actions. "Sometimes the greatest heroes aren't people," she told the students. "Sometimes they walk on for legs." Meanwhile, Max continued to thrive in his role as the family's protector. Though his days were filled with play and rest, his bond with Lily remained stronger than ever. He seemed to sense her emotions, comforting her when she felt overwhelmed and sharing her joy in moments of happiness. One night, as the family gathered around the fireplace, Lily's father brought out an old photo album. "I think it's time we added a new chapter," he said, flipping through the pages. "Max deserves to be remembered forever." The family spent the evening selecting photos of Max and Lily, capturing their journey from the carefree days before her disappearance to the triumphant moments of their reunion. Each photo told a story, and together, they painted a picture of a bond that had withstood the greatest of trials. As time went on, Max's fame grew even further. A local journalist wrote an article about him, dubbing him the miracle dog. The story was picked up by national outlets, and soon offers began pouring in. Publishers wanted to write books about Max, filmmakers wanted to turn his story into a movie, and organizations wanted to honor him with awards. Lily's parents were careful about how much attention they allowed into their lives. "Max doesn't need fame," her father said one evening. "He just needs us, and we need him." But there was one opportunity they couldn't pass up. A non-profit organization dedicated to rescuing animals reached out, asking if Max could become their honorary ambassador. The idea was simple. Max's story would inspire others to adopt and care for animals in need. Lily was thrilled by the idea. "Max loves helping people," she said. "I think he'd like this." The family agreed, and Max's role as an ambassador began. He attended events where people could meet him, his calm and friendly demeanor endearing him to everyone. Children flocked to him, eager to pet the dog who had become a symbol of hope. Max accepted the attention with patience, his tail wagging gently as he soaked in the love. One day, during an adoption event, a little boy approached Max with tears in his eyes. "I lost my dog," he said softly, his voice trembling. "But meeting Max makes me feel better." Lily, standing nearby, knelt down beside the boy. "Max helps people," she said, "and I bet he'd want you to find a new friend." The boy nodded, a small smile breaking through his tears. He left the event with a rescued puppy in his arms, his heart a little lighter thanks to Max. The months turned into a year, and the family decided to hold a celebration for Max's birthday, or at least the day they had adopted him, which they now considered his special day. Friends, neighbors, and members of the community gathered in the backyard, bringing treats and gifts for the beloved dog. Max, wearing a party hat that Lily had insisted on, greeted each guest with his usual calm demeanor. The children played games, the adults shared stories, and the atmosphere was one of pure joy. As the sun set, Lily stood on a small stool and raised her glass of lemonade. "Max saved my life," she said, her voice clear and steady. "He's my best friend, and I love him more than anything. Thank you, Max, for never giving up on me." The crowd erupted into applause, and Max wagged his tail furiously, his eyes shining with the love that surrounded him. It was a moment the family would never forget, a celebration of life, love, and the unbreakable bond between a girl and her dog. As the celebration for Max's birthday wound down and the crowd began to thin, Lily's parents sat quietly on the porch, watching their daughter play with Max under the soft glow of string lights. Lily tossed a small ball, and Max bounded after it, his tail wagging with the same youthful energy he had always had. The two of them seemed inseparable, their connection as strong as ever. Lily's father exhaled deeply, a smile playing on his lips. "You know," he began, glancing at his wife, "I used to think Max was just an ordinary dog. But after everything that's happened, I'm convinced he's something special." "He is," her mother replied, her voice soft. "He's more than a pet. He's family. And I think he was meant to be with us for a reason." Max trotted back to them, the ball in his mouth, as if sensing the conversation was about him. Lily giggled as she knelt to take the ball, pressing a kiss to his head. "I love you, Max," she said simply. It was a phrase she repeated often, and Max always responded with a wag of his tail, as though he understood every word. Over the next few weeks, life continued peacefully for the family. Max's role as an honorary ambassador for the rescue organization brought new opportunities, and he quickly became the face of their efforts to promote animal adoption. Posters featuring Max and Lily adorned local shops, and his story was shared at events and fundraisers. One morning, the family received a package in the mail. Inside was a book titled Max the Miracle Dog, a beautifully illustrated children's story based on his incredible journey. Lily squealed with delight as she flipped through the pages, pointing out the drawings of Max and herself. "It's us," she exclaimed, holding the book up for Max to see. Her parents watched her with pride, their hearts full. "This book is going to inspire so many kids," her father said, his voice tinged with emotion. "Max's story is going to live on forever." The book quickly became a bestseller, with proceeds going to the rescue organization. Families across the country read it together, drawn to the heartwarming tale of loyalty and courage. Max's legacy grew even further, touching lives in ways the family could never have imagined. Despite the attention and accolades, Max remained the same. A humble, devoted dog who wanted nothing more than to be by Lily's side. He spent his days lounging in the sun, chasing butterflies in the yard, and curling up at Lily's feet during story time. For Max, The world revolved around the little girl who had always been his best friend. One afternoon, as Lily and Max played in the garden, a visitor arrived, a reporter from a national magazine who wanted to write a feature on Max's story. The family welcomed her warmly, inviting her to sit with them on the porch. Max's story has inspired so many people, the reporter said, her notepad in hand. But what do you think makes him so special? Lily didn't hesitate. Max loves everyone, but he never gave up on me, she said, her voice filled with conviction. He's not just special because of what he did. He's special because of who he is. The reporter smiled, jotting down Lily's words. That's a beautiful sentiment, she said, and it's clear that Max is more than just a hero. He's a symbol of hope. The article was published a few weeks later, accompanied by a stunning photo of Lily and Max sitting together under the big oak tree in their yard. The story brought a fresh wave of attention, with people from all walks of life reaching out to share how Max's journey had touched their hearts. But for the family, the most important thing was that they had each other. The bond between Lily and Max continued to deepen, and their days were filled with simple joys. Walks through the woods, picnics in the meadow, and lazy afternoons spent reading and napping. One evening, as the sun set over the hills, Lily's father brought out his guitar and began to play a soft melody. Max lay at Lily's feet, his eyes half closed as the music filled the air. Lily hummed along, her hand resting on Max's back. It was a moment of pure peace, a reminder of how far they had come and how much they had to be grateful for. Even as time passed and life returned to its steady rhythm, Max's story continued to resonate with people. The family often received letters and emails from strangers who had been inspired to adopt pets or who had found comfort in Max's unwavering loyalty. One letter in particular stood out. It was from a young girl who had recently lost her dog and had been struggling with the grief. Reading about Max made me realize that love never really goes away, she wrote. I'll always carry my dog in my heart, just like Lily carries Max in hers. Lily's mother read the letter aloud at dinner, her voice cracking with emotion. Max, you've done more good than we could have ever imagined, she said, stroking his fur. Max, as always, wagged his tail, his eyes filled with quiet understanding. The family decided to honor Max's impact in a lasting way. They worked with the rescue organization to establish the Max's Legacy Fund, a program dedicated to helping stray animals find loving homes. The fund provided resources for shelters, supported animal rescues, and even helped train therapy dogs for families in need. At the launch event, Lily stood on stage with Max by her side, addressing the crowd with a confidence that belied her young age. Max taught me that love is the strongest thing in the world, she said, her voice clear and steady. And I want every animal to have a chance to feel the love I feel for Mac. The crowd erupted into applause, and Max barked happily, his tail wagging furiously. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to the bond between a girl and her dog and the power of their story to inspire change. As the years passed, Max's influence continued to grow, even as he aged. His face, once sleek and youthful, began to show the signs of time. Gray fur around his muzzle, slower movements, and longer naps in the sun. But his devotion to Lily never wavered. He remained her constant companion, always by her side through every milestone and challenge. Lily, now older, had grown into a confident and compassionate young girl. Her experiences with Max had shaped her deeply, instilling in her a profound sense of empathy and a desire to help others. She often spoke about Max at school, sharing his story with classmates and teachers who never tired of hearing about the dog who had changed her life. One day, her teacher assigned a writing project. Write about someone who inspires you. Without hesitation, Lily chose Max. Her essay, titled My Hero Max, was a heartfelt tribute to the dog who had been her protector, her best friend, and her guiding light. Max didn't just save me, she wrote. He taught me what it means to love unconditionally. He showed me that even in the darkest moments, there's always hope. And he proved that sometimes, the smallest acts of loyalty can change everything. Lily's essay won a school-wide contest and was published in the local newspaper, earning praise from readers who were moved by her words. But for Lily, The greatest reward was the look in Max's eyes when she read it aloud to him. Though he couldn't understand the words, he seemed to sense the love behind them, his tail wagging gently as he rested his head on her lap. At home, life continued peacefully. The family cherished their time with Max, knowing that every moment was precious. They celebrated his birthday each year with the same enthusiasm, throwing parties that brought together neighbors, friends, and even strangers who had been touched by his story. One year, during Max's birthday celebration, a man approached Lily's parents. He introduced himself as a filmmaker who had been following Max's story and wanted to create a documentary about him. "It's not just about what Max did," he explained. "It's about the bond he shares with your family and the way he's inspired people around the world." Lily's parents were hesitant at first, worried about the attention it might bring. But after discussing it with Lily, they decided to move forward. "If Max's story can help even one more person," her mother said, "then it's worth it." The documentary, titled Max, A Dog's Devotion, was a labor of love. The filmmaker spent months capturing footage of Max and Lily, interviewing family members, investigators, and members of the community who had been part of their journey. The result was a poignant and uplifting film that showcased not only Max's heroism but also the unbreakable bond between humans and animals. When the documentary premiered, the family attended the event together, with Max sitting proudly beside Lily in the front row. The audience laughed, cried, and cheered as they watched the story unfold on the screen. By the time the credits rolled, there wasn't a dry eye in the theater. "Max has shown us what it means to be truly loyal," the filmmaker said during a Q&A session after the screening. "His story is a reminder that love knows no boundaries, not even between species." The documentary went on to win awards and was streamed by millions of viewers around the world. Letters and messages poured in, each one a testament to the impact Max had made. People shared their own stories of loyalty and love, inspired by the dog who had never given up on the one he loved most. As Max entered his twilight years, the family made every effort to ensure his comfort. Lily, now a teenager, took on the role of caretaker, walking him gently when his legs grew tired and sitting with him for hours on the porch as he watched the world go by. Their bond, forged in the most challenging of circumstances, had only deepened with time. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Lily sat with Max beneath the oak tree in their yard. She stroked his fur, her touch light and loving, as she whispered to him about her dreams for the future. "I want to be a vet someday," she said softly, "so I can help animals, just like you helped me." Max's tail thumped weakly against the ground, his eyes half closed but full of trust. It was as though he understood her words, his presence a quiet reassurance that she could achieve anything she set her mind to. When the day came that Max passed peacefully in his sleep, the family was heartbroken but grateful for the years they had shared with him. They held a small ceremony in the backyard, burying him beneath the oak tree where he had spent so many happy moments. Lily placed a small plaque at the base of the tree, engraved with the words, "Max, forever our hero." The community came together to honor Max's memory, sharing stories of how he had touched their lives. Though he was gone, his legacy lived on in the hearts of everyone who had been inspired by his unwavering loyalty and love. Lily, though devastated by the loss, found comfort in the lessons Max had taught her. She channeled her grief into action, volunteering at the rescue organization and working tirelessly to continue Max's mission of helping animals in need. Years later, as Lily graduated from veterinary school, she carried a small photo of Max in her pocket. During her commencement speech, she spoke about the dog who had shaped her life in ways she could never fully express. "Max taught me that love is the greatest gift we can give," she said, her voice steady despite the emotion that threatened to overwhelm her. "He showed me that even in the darkest times, hope can shine through. And he reminded me that the bond between humans and animals is one of the most beautiful things in the world." The audience erupted into applause, and Lily felt a sense of peace wash over her. Max was gone, but his spirit lived on in her work, her memories, and the countless lives he had touched. As Lily began her career as a veterinarian, she often thought of Max. His photo hung on the wall of her clinic, a constant reminder of the dog who had been her hero. Each time she helped an animal in need, she felt his presence, guiding her with the same unwavering love he had always shown. Max's story continued to inspire new generations, his legacy growing with each passing year. And though the world changed, one thing remained constant: the bond between a girl and her dog, a bond that had defied the odds and left an indelible mark on everyone it touched. In the quiet moments, beneath the oak tree where Max rested, Lily would sit and remember. She would close her eyes and feel the warmth of his presence, the soft brush of his fur, and the endless love that had carried them through their greatest trials. Max was gone, but he was never truly lost. In Lily's heart, he was eternal, her protector, her guide, and her greatest friend. Here's the final, extended batch of 1,500 words to bring the story to an impactful and satisfying conclusion. After Max's passing, Lily found herself returning to the oak tree often. It became her sanctuary, a place where she could feel close to him even though he was no longer there. She would sit beneath the sprawling branches, her fingers tracing the engraved plaque that bore his name, and speak to him as if he could still hear her. "Max," she whispered one afternoon, her voice carried by the gentle breeze, "I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to help as many animals as I can, just like you helped me." Her words weren't just a promise, they were her mission. Max's memory fueled her determination, pushing her to work harder than ever before. Each time she walked into her veterinary clinic, she was reminded of the countless lives she could change, just as Max had changed hers. The clinic itself became a reflection of Max's legacy. At the entrance, a large mural depicted Max standing proudly next to Lily, their bond captured in vibrant colors that seemed to leap off the wall. Beneath the mural was a plaque that read, "In honor of Max, the dog who taught us the meaning of love and loyalty." The mural became a symbol of hope for everyone who visited the clinic. Families brought their pets not just for care, but also to share their stories about how Max had inspired them. Lily listened to each tale with a smile, her heart swelling with pride at the impact her beloved dog continued to have. One day, an elderly woman walked into the clinic holding a scruffy, malnourished puppy. "I read about Max," she said, her voice trembling. "I wasn't sure I could care for this little one, but then I thought about what your dog would have done. He wouldn't have given up, and neither will I." Lily knelt to examine the puppy, her gentle hands soothing the frightened animal. "Max would be so proud of you," she said warmly. "And I am too." The woman's eyes filled with tears, and she nodded. "Thank you, dear, for sharing his story with the world." As the years went by, the Max's Legacy Fund expanded, reaching shelters and rescues across the country. The fund provided resources for spaying and neutering programs, medical care for injured animals, and initiatives to educate communities about responsible pet ownership. Lily often traveled to visit the shelters supported by the fund, her presence a reminder of the dog who had inspired it all. During one such visit, Lily met a young boy named Ethan. He had come to the shelter with his parents, hoping to adopt a dog. Ethan, who was shy and quiet, was drawn to a timid Labrador mix named Bella. The dog had been rescued from a neglectful home and was slow to trust, but Ethan was patient. As Lily watched the two of them together, she was reminded of herself and Max. "You're doing great," she told Ethan, crouching down beside him. "Just keep showing her love, and she'll come around." Ethan looked up at her, his eyes wide. "Do you really think so?" "I know so," Lily replied with a smile. "Max taught me that love can heal even the deepest wounds. You're already showing Bella how much you care, and that's the most important thing." A week later, Lily received a photo of Ethan and Bella at home, the dog's once timid expression now replaced with one of pure joy. The message that accompanied the photo read, "Thank you for believing in us. Bella is part of our family now, and we couldn't be happier." Back in her hometown, the oak tree remained a place of reflection and remembrance for Lily. One spring afternoon, she decided to organize a community event beneath its branches, a day dedicated to celebrating the bond between humans and animals. The event, called Max's Day, brought together people and their pets for games, activities, and the chance to share their stories. Families gathered with their dogs, cats, and even a few birds and rabbits, creating a vibrant scene of laughter and camaraderie. A local musician performed a song inspired by Max, its lyrics capturing the essence of his loyalty and love. Children ran through the fields, their joyful cries echoing across the meadow. At the heart of it all stood Lily, now a young woman, holding a microphone as she addressed the crowd. "Today isn't just about Max," she began, her voice strong and steady. "It's about all the animals who make our lives better, who teach us about love and resilience. Max may not be here with us, but his spirit lives on in every act of kindness we show to the animals around us." The crowd erupted into applause, and Lily felt a surge of pride. She knew that Max's story had become something much larger than she ever could have imagined, a movement that united people in their shared love for animals. As the sun set on Max's day, Lily sat beneath the oak tree, watching as the last of the families packed up and headed home. The field was quiet now, the only sound the rustling of leaves in the breeze. She closed her eyes and leaned against the tree, her thoughts drifting to the dog who had changed her life. "I hope you're proud of me, Max," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Everything I do for you." In that moment, a gentle breeze swept through the field, carrying with it a feeling of warmth and peace. Lily smiled, her heart filled with the certainty that Max's spirit was still with her, guiding her every step. Years later, Lily's work continued to flourish. Her clinic had grown into a thriving practice, and the Max's Legacy Fund had saved countless animals. She had also started a mentorship program for young veterinarians, sharing her knowledge and passion with the next generation. One of her ments, a bright and eager student named Claire, asked her one day, "What inspired you to do all of this?" Lily smiled, her thoughts immediately turning to Max, a dog, she said simply. "The most loyal, brave, and loving dog you could ever imagine. He taught me that even the smallest acts of kindness can change the world." Claire nodded, her admiration evident. "I hope I can make a difference like you have." "You will," Lily said, her voice filled with encouragement. "Just remember that every life matters, no matter how small." On the anniversary of Max's passing, Lily returned to the oak tree with a bouquet of wildflowers. She placed them at the base of the plaque, her fingers brushing against the engraved words. "Thank you, Max," she said softly, "for everything." As she sat beneath the tree, a young golden retriever bounded over to her, its playful energy reminding her of Max in his younger days. The dog's owner, a woman with kind eyes, approached with a smile. "I heard about your story," she said, "and I just wanted to say thank you. Max inspired me to adopt this little guy." Lily reached out to pet the dog, her heart swelling with emotion. "He was one of a kind," she said, "but I'm so glad his story has helped others." The woman nodded, her eyes glistening. "It has, more than you'll ever know." As the years turned into decades, Max's memory remained a constant presence in Lily's life. She continued to honor him through her work, her actions, and the love she shared with every animal she encountered. Though the oak tree aged and the world changed, one thing remained the same: the bond between a girl and her dog, a bond that had transcended time and left an indelible mark on the world. And so, beneath the oak tree that had witnessed so much, Max's legacy lived on, a testament to the power of love, loyalty, and the unbreakable connection between humans and animals.